Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Being a reservoir of all auspicious attributes, Sri Advaita Acharya is all auspicious for the world. His characteristics, activities, and name are always auspicious. Purport. Sri Advaita Prabhu, who is an incarnation of Mahavishnu, is an Acharya, or teacher. All his activities and all the other activities of Vishnu are auspicious. Anyone who can view the all-auspiciousness in the pastimes of Lord Vishnu also becomes auspicious simultaneously. Therefore, since Lord Vishnu is the fountainhead of auspiciousness, anyone who is attracted by the devotional service of Lord Vishnu can render the greatest service to human society. Rejected persons of the material world who refuse to understand pure devotional service as the eternal function of the living entities and as actual liberation of the living being from conditioned life become bereft of all devotional service because of their poor fund of knowledge. In the teachings of Advaita Prabhu, there is no question of fruitive activities or impersonal liberation. Bewildered by the spell of the material energy, however, persons who could not understand that Advaita Prabhu is non-different from Vishnu wanted to follow him with their impersonal conceptions. The attempt of Advaita Prabhu to punish them is also auspicious. Lord Vishnu and his activities can bestow all good fortune directly and indirectly. In other words, being favored by Lord Vishnu and being punished by Lord Vishnu are one and the same, because all the activities of Vishnu are absolute. According to some, Mangala was another name of Advaita Prabhu. As the causal incarnation, or Lord Vishnu's incarnation for a particular occasion, he is the supplying agent or ingredient in material nature. However, he is never to be considered material. All his activities are spiritual. Anyone who hears about and glorifies him becomes glorified himself, for such activities free one from all kinds of misfortune. One should not invest any material contamination or impersonalism in the Vishnu form. Everyone should try to understand the real identity of Lord Vishnu, for by such knowledge one can attain the highest stage of perfection. Jagat Mangala Advaita Mangala Gunadham Mangala Charitra Sada Mangala Yaranam. Being a reservoir of all auspicious attributes, Sri Advaita Acharya is all auspicious for the world. His characteristics, activities, and name are always auspicious. Om Ajnana Timarandasya Gnanjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Surupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So before speaking, I'd like to request permission from the devotees, especially the senior devotees present. Hare Krishna. So, as is clear from this verse, the word Mangala appears quite often. Mangala meaning auspicious. So everything about Advaita Acharya is auspicious. And in the purport, if you were paying attention, you might have noticed Prabhupada made the statement, some people say that his name is Mangala. It's interesting how sometimes Srila Prabhupada doesn't adjudicate, he sometimes leaves it open. Some people say, what does that mean? It means, well, maybe, maybe not, right? Another example, he says, some people say that Lakshmi Patitirtha is the Diksha Guru of Nityananda. Other people say Madhavendra Puri. Prabhupada doesn't make a clear adjudication on that. It's interesting. So, why is Advaita Acharya auspicious? What is auspicious about Advaita Acharya? You can answer. Think of the word acharya. What's suspicious about an acharya? What is the function of an acharya? Teaching by example. Okay, that's the etymology of the word, right? As Mahaprabhu said, Achara prachara namera karoho duri karya. Tumi sarva guru tumi jagatera arya. He refers to Haridas Thakur, who is the Namacharya. He says, because your achar, your behavior is perfect, and your prachar, your preaching is perfect, therefore you are the guru of everyone. So yes, acharya means one's behavior is perfect. But what is the role? What is the business of the acharya? Say again? He has a purpose within the age that he's living in. Yes, he's sent by Krishna, right? And there's one statement Prabhupada explains what is the only business of the acharya. We should know what the only business is. To deliver the human beings. Yes, that's the answer. He says the only business of the acharya is to spread Krishna consciousness. It's not that the acharya, he's acharya 5 days of the week and then he has the weekend off. Acharya is always thinking about spreading Krishna consciousness. So if you study the mood of Advaita Acharya, there are many verses that describe how he was crying. He was feeling such compassion for the suffering living entities of the age. So before the descent of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Advaita Acharya was living in Navadvip, or he's living in Shantipur, but the devotees from Navadvip, they would frequently come to his house and they would discuss Krishna Katha and they would chant the Mahamantra. Now, the Mahamantra was made famous by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but it was already being chanted by a small group of Vaishnavas. And Advaita Acharya, as the term Acharya, Acharyam Bhakta Sangshanat. The meaning of Acharya is that he's spreading Krishna consciousness. Now, there are two invocation verses that describe Advaita Acharya. Advaitam Harinadvaitat, Acharyam Bhakti Sangshanat. He's known as Advaita because he's non-different from Lord Hari, and he's known as the Acharya because of his spreading Krishna consciousness. So although Advaita Acharya was a very potent preacher of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, but although he had a group of devotees that were listening to him and they had their own sangha, in his heart he wasn't satisfied. Because he wasn't simply a bhajana Nandi, he was a Gosti Nandi, and he wanted to deliver everyone. So because of that deep feeling of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls, he brought about the descent of the Lord. So what was the secret? How did he do this? What was the process through which Advaita Acharya brought Lord Krishna to this planet? Offering tulsi leaves and Ganges water to the Shalagram Shila. Yes, that's correct. There's a verse from the Gautamiya Tantra which is quoted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Tulasi dala matrena jalasya chulukena va. Remember the rest. The last line is Bhaktavatsala. Bhaktibhyo Bhaktavatsala. Vikrinite svam atmanam. Krishna says he offers himself, he sells himself to the devotee that offers tulsi and water. That type of worship is so potent that Krishna feels indebted. He's indebted to such a person. And therefore, he sells himself. So Advaita Acharya did this, and his crying out was so full of love that Lord Chaitanya felt obliged, he felt controlled. Therefore, he came. So at that time, the Yuga Dharma was meant to be spread. This microphone keeps falling. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata habhutanam madharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Whenever there's a decline in religious practice and a prominent rise of a religion, at that time I descend myself. So the Yuga Dharma had arrived, but it's interesting that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains that is not the principal cause of the descent of the Lord. The principal cause is this crying out by Advaita Acharya. The Lord comes to please his devotee. So does that mean we can cry out and bring the Lord? Is that possible? Actually, Prabhupada explains this. He says, because Advaita Acharya is Ishvara, he can call and the Lord will come. He says, if you are Ishvara, or if Ishvara has given you the power of attorney, then you can call the Lord to this planet. So we may cry, but what is the value of our crying for the Lord? If we're sincere and we have the power of attorney, then yes, anything can happen. But it's all about sincerity. I mean, this pastime, we read about it, and it's very difficult to actually properly understand the mood here. The Bhakti Shastras, they're all full of mood. One must be very qualified to understand the deeper meaning of them. Kaviraj Goswami says, Bujibi Rasika Bhakta, na Bujibi Mudha. If you're a Rasika Bhakta, or a pure devotee, you can understand these pastimes. And if you're a fool, you cannot understand. And for Chaitanya Charitamrita to be properly understood, one must be on the platform of Prema. So what platform are we on? So I don't understand. I speak for myself. I'm the fool. I do not understand the depths of these pastimes. But we should understand that even though we may not understand, we should always keep trying to understand and keep trying to read and get the deeper meaning of these pastimes. Vayam tuna vatipyama uttama shloka vikrami yat shinvatam rasagyanam svadu svadu pade pade. Those that are rasagya, who know this science, they are never satiated. So we understand the pure devotees, when they read scripture, it develops a thirst within them to read more. It's like if you're eating a meal, but the more you eat, the more hungry you become. It's like this. This is the feeling that the advanced devotees get. So this is the quality of Advaita Acharya, that Advaitam Bhakti Shangshanat. His purpose is to spread bhakti. And his heart, he has this feeling within his heart, very deep desire. So this compassion, it's a rare quality. We tend to live in our own selfish shell. It's very difficult to be compassionate. Paradukha dukhi. So Advaita Acharya has this compassion, and he is calling on behalf of the living entities. Because in Kali Yuga, everyone is so dumb, they don't even understand that God exists. Therefore, they are busy, as Prahlad Maharaj puts it, Nate vidur svartagatimi vishnum durashayaye bahirartan maninaha. Bahirarta mani means that they are absorbed in external things. Therefore, they do not know the purpose of life. So Advaita Acharya, in fact, all the Acharyas, all the devotees, all the Vaishnavas, because they have that compassion, they are thinking of ways to deliver the fallen conditioned souls. So Advaita Acharya, he is calling the Lord on our behalf. That's his great service. So we have this debt of gratitude to Advaita Acharya, because the residents of Kali Yuga, they're so fallen, they do not even know to call. And if one calls sincerely, the Lord will reciprocate. Now, I've been recently watching a DVD of a Prabhupada disciple, Mula Prakriti, and she's left the planet. But she did a lot of interesting research. She was interviewing devotees and acquaintances of Srila Prabhupada before he came to the West. So she had some very nice stories. There's one interesting pastime. While Srila Prabhupada was living, thank you, while he was living at Radha Damodar temple, he'd already taken sannyas. And one night, he heard a voice, Abai Charanarvinda. And he was puzzled. At that time he was sannyas, so people didn't call him that. But he heard the voice again, so he left his little kutir and he went to the Samadhi area at Radha Damodar temple. And he was offering obeisances to the Samadhis. And then he heard the voice again, and it was coming from the Pushpa Samadhi of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And he had a vision. He saw Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And he asked him, why have you not gone to the West? I've already instructed you. So Bhaktivedanta Swami, he said, well, I want to go, but I don't see the way to do it. He said, do not worry, it has already been arranged. You simply endeavor. You do not hesitate. And he said, in the West, they're already crying for you. They're calling for you. Amazing. You can imagine all these suffering, tortured souls who don't know the purpose of life, and they're calling out. Maybe they have some vague conception of God. They're calling out for help. So Krishna, he's making this arrangement. So after this vision, Prabhupada, he packed his bags And he went off. First he went to Delhi, and it's described that he was preaching to various groups, like the Arya Samaj, and he was explaining, I'm going to the West. It is already arranged. I'm just looking for that person who will help me. He had full faith in this instruction. Of course, Srimati Murji was the one that helped. So it's interesting that just through sincere prayer, we can understand the power of prayer. I believe that Sariputta, he was doing research into the science of prayer. And if people pray, for example, if someone's sick and you pray for them, actually the science backs it up, that actually this prayer works. It's a very powerful process. So you see that Srila Prabhupada, he had the same mood that Advaita Acharya had. It was selfless, just caring only to help the fallen conditioned souls. And what's interesting is just the last few days of the life of Prabhupada, maybe some of his disciples thought, well, he's so sick that maybe he's going to change. His personality will change. He'll become more withdrawn or something. But actually, he never changed his mood. His desire was always, how is the preaching? How are the books going out? Are the temples being built? He was always, even when he was so ill himself, he was always inquiring, because his disciples would come and they would pay their respects, and he would always ask them, how is the preaching? How are the books going? And he would be very enlivened, even in his very sick condition of body. He was always very enlivened. So we see this as the quality of the Acharya, that in the very depth of the soul, there is no other desire than to serve others. There's one purport where Prabhupada describes what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says about the Acharya. He says that in Kali Yuga, unfortunately, there are many Kali Chela. They appear to be devotees. They're actually agents of Kali, and they wear tilak and neck beads. They have a dhoti, and some of them, they want to be Acharya. And he said, but actually the Acharya is understood by having no other desire than to serve Krishna. He goes on to say that you cannot elect an Acharya by mundane votes. And mundane votes have no jurisdiction over the Acharya. The Acharya is self-effulgent. I was reflecting on this purport. I think he's referring to this breakup of the Gaudiya Mat when there was legal cases going on. So you take it to court. Who is the Acharya? As Prabhupada says, you cannot elect an Acharya. You have to be qualified. And as he's saying, the Acharya is self-effulgent. You cannot legislate. You cannot stop the Acharya. The Acharya will manifest. Now, in the purport, Prabhupada doesn't mention himself, but I take that self-effulgent Acharya, that means Srila Prabhupada. While the court case, the battles were going on, his natural effulgence, his natural joy for spreading Krishna consciousness, that bore fruit. And if you watch the Prabhupada Memory series, you'll see that so many disciples, they will tell you that when they saw Prabhupada, that he was effulgent. In fact, when he came to London, and I forget who it was, which devotee was remembering it. It's a Prabhupada disciple, I don't know her. But anyway, she was saying that he was entering the temple, and one devotee after another, all of them were saying, he's golden, he's effulgent, he's golden. It wasn't just one devotee, all of them that were saying this. So Srila Prabhupada, he had this very amazing quality. He had the symptoms of the Acharya. So this is Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki jai, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki jai. So this is the quality of the Acharya. In the 11th canto there's the statement, Mayam Rigam Dayata Epsitam Anvadavad, Vande Mahapurushate Charanarvindam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes in the age of Kali, and he's chasing after the fallen conditioned souls who are chasing after Maya. And he's also chasing after the object of his desire, Krishna. So in this statement, it's the term Maya Mriga. Mrigayati means to search for. So Maya Mriga means those who are searching after Maya. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is running after those that are searching after Maya. So Advaita Acharya, Lord Chaitanya, and all the Acharyas, they have this role. And in Kali Yuga, they are very proactive because they are running after us, because we are so fallen that we are running after Maya. So this is one of the qualities of the Acharya. Now the other statement in the invocation, Advaitam Harinadvaitat. He's known as Advaita because he is, what's the reason? Why is he known as Advaita? Dvaita and Advaita. It's to do with dual and single, okay, yes. So he's non-different from Krishna, yes. So Harina Advaitat means because he is non-different from Lord Hari. So this is the quality of Advaita Acharya. Now in one purport, Prabhupada explains that the monists, they may think non-difference, but actually we understand that although Advaita is non-different, he does not merge with the Lord. Therefore we have an exchange of rasa. For the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the supreme object of worship is not Krishna, but it's the loving exchanges that take place. Recently, Garuda Prabhu was here. He was explaining this to me. He said, we don't worship Krishna, we actually worship the loving exchange. That is the highest. So it's said in the seventh chapter of Adi Lila, Pancha Tattva Eka Vastu Nahi Kichubeda, Rasa Asvaditi Tabu Vivida Vibeda. The Pancha Tattva are Eka Vastu, which means they are one substance. But in order to experience rasa, and to give us the opportunity to experience rasa, Vivida Vibeda, they have divided themselves into many. So Prabhupada explains that if we make them one, we will not appreciate the rasa that's going on. Therefore, we should always distinguish between the different members. So we have 5 members. Now, 3 of them are Vishnu Tattva. That's Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, and Advaita Acharya. It's interesting that Prabhupada explains that those Vishnu Tattva aspects of the Pancha Tattva, they are all referred to as Prabhupada. And he explains why. Because Prabhu means pure devotee. So many pure devotees sit at their feet. So those 3 members of the Pancha Tattva, they're all Prabhupada. So Advaita Acharya, he's one Prabhupada. He also explains that the 6 Goswamis are Prabhupada. Anyone at whose feet masters sit can be referred to as Prabhupada. So this is the beauty of the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, that we have this rasa, this exchange of love. And this book, Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the introduction, or is it the foreword? I think it's the introduction. Prabhupada explains the meaning. So what does Amrita mean? Okay, that's a trick question. Yeah, it means nectar, but in this particular translation, it means immortal. Mrita means death. I mean, it is nectar as well. So Chaitanya Charitamrita means the nature of the living force in immortality. So the exchanges of love are taking place, and there's so many pastimes. And what they represent is the life force in immortality. In other words, the natural condition of the life force. So we all have Chaitanya, consciousness. Lord Chaitanya, why was he called Lord Chaitanya? What? That's a good answer. I've not read that answer, but it makes a lot of sense, because he's the force of all living force. When he took sannyas, he was given the name Chaitanya. Krishna Chaitanya, yes. So there are 2 aspects. Why is he called Krishna? Because he's spreading Krishna consciousness. Yeah, he's always spreading Krishna consciousness. Therefore, he's called Krishna. And why is he called Chaitanya? He's conscious of Krishna. The answer given in the Chaitanya Bhagavat is because he is reviving the consciousness of the living entities. Therefore, through giving Krishna. Krishna means Krishna Varnayati. He's known as Krishna Varnam as well. Krishna Varnayati, which means he's always speaking about Krishna. Or another meaning for Krishna Varnam is that is his Varna. In the Varnashram system, we have Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is beyond all these things. He is Krishna Varna. He is Krishna himself. Some meanings there. So, why was I talking about Chaitanya? Advaita. Yeah, why was I talking about Advaita? Oh yeah, the various Vishnu Tattvas, they're all considered to be Prabhupada. So I was talking about the Panchatattva and how the rasas there. Yes, so the life force. So I was mentioning that Chaitanya Charitamrita means the nature of the life force in immortality. So in our present condition, due to material life, we're experiencing the life force in mortality. That means our exchanges are very materialistic. But when we reach the platform of prema, we learn how to serve devotees, then our exchanges will be in immortality. So that is actually the purport to the term Chaitanya Charitamrita. But of course, we can say it as nectar as well. It's the nectar of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. So it's interesting that I mentioned that Bhakti Shankshanath, he's so good at preaching. Advaita Acharya is famous for his discourses on Bhagavad Gita and Chaitanya and Srimad Bhagavatam. So when the brother of Lord Chaitanya was growing up, Vishwarup, he was searching for a teacher, and he would hear so many teachers, but he would never be satisfied because the bhakti wasn't there. But when he heard Advaita Acharya speaking, he became very, very attracted, very satisfied. The devotion was there. So he spent more and more time associating with Advaita Acharya. Eventually he took sannyas. Now at that time, Shachimata, she was very disturbed by this. She had lost her son, and she felt resentful, though she didn't express any resentment. But later on, when Lord Chaitanya came, he also started to hear from Advaita Acharya more and more and take more and more of his association. And at that time, Shachimata, she started to criticize Advaita Acharya. She said, he is known throughout the world as being Advaita, but actually he is Dvaita. He's full of duplicity. He is speaking to my sons in such a way that they are leaving me. Now, Vrindavan Das Thakur explains that this was not an aparad, but Lord Chaitanya took it as an aparad. And because of that, Shachimata did not experience love of God. So on one occasion, Srivas Pandit said to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, why is your mother not experiencing love of God? Why are you not bestowing love of God upon her? So he replied, he said, she has offended Advaita Acharya. Unless she takes the dust of his feet, she will not attain love of God. It's like when Durvasa Muni, he offended Ambarish. So Durvasa Muni, he was a great mystic, so he could travel anywhere. He's one of the mystic cities. He could travel anywhere in the universe. So he was trying to take shelter of Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and so forth. And he then tried to take shelter of Lord Vishnu. But what did Lord Vishnu say? He said, Aham bhakta pradino yasvatantra ivadvija sadhu bir grasta hridayo bhaktayar bhakta jana priyaha. I am controlled by my devotees. They have captured my heart. So he's explaining, he is subservient to his devotee. So in the same way, Lord Chaitanya is subservient to Advaita Acharya, because Advaita Acharya is such a great devotee. Therefore he said to Shachimata, I cannot forgive you. You have to take forgiveness from Advaita Acharya. The Lord does not forgive Vaishnava Aparad. You must apologize to that person. So when Advaita Acharya heard this, his reply was, she is the mother of my Lord. I should be taking the dust of her feet. He did not take this seriously at all. And then he started glorifying Shachimata. And as he was glorifying Shachimata, he fell into ecstasy and he fainted. And at that time, Shachimata, she took the dust of his feet and she placed it on her head. And then she went into ecstasy and she fainted as well. She developed love of God. So we see from this wonderful pastime the importance of not offending the devotees. There's an interesting conflict that Advaita Acharya had. He is seeing Lord Chaitanya as his Lord, but Lord Chaitanya is seeing Advaita Acharya as his Lord. So, who is the Diksha Guru of Advaita Acharya? Anyone know the Diksha Guru of Advaita Acharya? It's Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri had two prominent disciples, Advaita Acharya and Ishvara Puri. So because Ishvara Puri is the guru of Lord Chaitanya, and he saw Advaita Acharya on the same level as his guru. So he was always offering respects to Advaita Acharya. And Advaita Acharya, he didn't like this, because he wanted to be the servant. As far as he's concerned, and in terms of tattva, he is actually the servant of Lord Chaitanya. So in order to rectify this discrepancy, he devised a plan. He decided that he would preach impersonal philosophical speculation. So he started giving classes on this topic. And as soon as Lord Chaitanya heard this, he was enraged and he ran to the scene and he started beating Advaita Acharya. And Advaita Acharya was very, very happy. And he said, finally, you've been giving me so much respect, now you're neglecting me. And he was very happy. And Lord Chaitanya, he realized, and then he became very ashamed. But this is how Advaita Acharya was rectifying this. So this is an interesting tattva. It's described in the Adi Lila. What is the reason that the Vishnu tattva expansions, why they take the role of devotee? So there is a statement, Krishnara samata hoiti bada bhakti pad. Greater than equality with Krishna is to be the devotee of Krishna. It said bhakti bhav kore madhurya charvana. If one takes the role of devotee, then one can taste the sweetness of Krishna. That is why Advaita Acharya, Lord Nityananda, Lord Vishnu, all the incarnations, that is why they prefer to be the servant. Therefore, they are referred to as Supreme Personality of Godhead, Servitor. Unlimited incarnations, they all serve. The reason being, because they're Ishvara, they can be on that platform of Krishna, but Krishna Rasamata Hoiti Bada Bhakti Pad. The position of devotee is a higher position. So therefore, if you ever think of becoming God, you should consider this point. It's actually higher to be servant of God, because through service you taste sweetness. If you remain as God, you cannot taste the sweetness. And even Lord Krishna himself, he comes in order to taste the sweetness. I mentioned the principal cause of the Lord's descent was the calling of Advaita Acharya. The internal cause, the confidential cause. Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrasho Vanayaiva Svajo Jena Bhuta Madhurima Kidrasho Vamadiyaha Saukyam Chasya Madanu Bhavataha Kidrasham Vetilobat Tad Bhavajya Samajani Sachigarba Sindau Harindu. To experience the greatness of Srimati Radharani's love, the sweetness that only she can taste through that love, and the subsequent joy she gets from realizing that sweetness. Lord Chaitanya has taken birth from the oceanic womb of Sachimata. So even Lord Krishna, he takes the role of devotee in order to taste that sweetness. So Advaita Acharya, in his devotional ecstasy, he chants, Chaitanyara dasamoyi, Chaitanyara das, Chaitanyara dasimoyi, Tara dasara das. I am the servant of Lord Chaitanya. I am the servant of Lord Chaitanya. I am the servant of Lord Chaitanya, and I am the servant of his servant. This is actual ecstasy. And that ecstasy, now we cannot experience it to the same degree as the Vishnu forms, but we can still experience the quality of that ecstasy through devotional service. Therefore, as Prabhupada said, absolute is sentient, thou hast proved. Impersonal calamity, thou hast moved. It is a great calamity to stick to the impersonal conception, because that will restrict us from tasting something which is even higher than being equal to God. Therefore, in the third canto, it is said, Salokya sarsti samipya sarupya katvam atputa diya manam nagrinanti binamat sevanam janaha. The devotees of the Lord, even if they are offered the five opulences, the same form as the Lord, the same opulence as the Lord, dwelling on the same planet as the Lord. Say again? The same features as the Lord. Is that one? That's Sarupya, yes, Sarupya. And a Katvam, equality with the Lord, or merging with the Lord. They do not accept if it means giving up service. This is the great quality. So Advaita Acharya, we should understand, he is the servant. Ekale Ishvara Krishna Ar Sababricha Yari Yaichi Nachayasi Taichi Korin Richa. He is dancing as the Lord makes him dance. There is only one Ishvara, and that is Krishna. So in the pastime, it appears that Lord Chaitanya is propagating the Harinam Sankirtan movement under the direction of Advaita Acharya, but actually Advaita Acharya is the servant. That is the conclusion. So, another pastime, interesting pastime, it's very instructive, is the offering of the Shraddha Patra to Haridas Thakur. So Advaita Acharya, he was performing the Shraddha ceremony to his forefathers, And according to the Vaishnav way of performing the Shraddha ceremony, the plate of prasad is offered to the forefathers, then that plate is then offered to the most senior person present. So at that time, he created a disturbance because he offered the plate to Haridas Thakur, who's born in a Muslim family. There were so many aristocratic Brahmins present. Now these pastimes, in the modern context, they don't mean so much to us. But if you try and go back 500 years ago, then the system, the caste system, was a lot more rigid than what it is now. It's practically non-existent. It is described as vitiated. It's become materialistic. And generally enlightened philosophers in the West, they criticize, and rightly so, they criticize the caste system. Because in its current form, it is simply a form of materialism. Brahmins are exploiting. But the original system is all varnas are serving each other. The body must have legs, arms, stomach, and head in order to function. So the actual system is completely bona fide. And the Acharyas teacher in Prabhupada, he said this was his unfinished work to establish Varnashram. But isn't in its material form. It is denounced, and rightly so. So Advaita Acharya, he'd exhibited this wonderful understanding. And this is an understanding that's there in all of the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If we consider who were the intimate associates of Lord Chaitanya, there's Rupa and Sanatan, who were ostracized Brahmins because they were working for the Mohammedans. And we have Haridas Thakur, who's born in the Mohammedan family. So the most intimate dealings between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees were outside of the social system altogether. There's one interesting pastime. When he met the father of Ramananda Roy, Lord Chaitanya embraced him. That's Bhavananda Roy. And Bhavananda Roy said, "You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I know this because you've embraced me. I'm from Shudra caste." Because no sannyas would ever dare to touch a Shudra. But Mahaprabhu, he was beyond this. We also see on the bank of the Godavari, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there, and then on a palanquin, the governor of Madras came, Ramananda Roy. Beautiful music playing, he's very exalted. But he's actually from Shudra caste. Mahaprabhu embraced him, and so many Brahmins, they were watching in amazement to see this wonderful, beautiful, effulgent sannyas embracing a Shudra. So we see this in the system. It was a lot more pronounced than what it is now. And there are many examples. If we look at for example, what is the varna? What are the duties of the ladies? Chastity. See how the gopis left Krishna. Sorry, the gopis left their husbands to be with Krishna. Now, in the modern context, to leave your husband is quite common. We don't think of it as such a big thing. But to the chaste woman, that is worse than death, to leave your husband. So the sacrifice, to make these sacrifices in terms of Varnashram, it meant a lot more than what it does now. Just in background, It said, Prahlad Maharaj says, Viprad Vishad Guta Gunayutad Aravinda Naba Padara Vinda Vimukach Vapacham Varishtam Manyeta Darpitam Mano Vachanehi Tartam Pranam Punati Sakulam Natuburi Manaha. That if one is born as a dog eater, but they engage their body, mind, activities, words, wealth and life in the service of the Lord, then such a person is greater even than a Brahmana who has all the 12 Brahminical qualifications, if such a Brahmana is averse to Krishna. So ultimately the scriptures that we read, they're full of such examples. Sat karma nipino vipra mantras tantra visharada avaishnavo guru nasyad vaishnava svapacho guruhu. One is qualified to be a guru if they are a Vaishnav, even born as a dog eater or in the family of a dog eaters, whereas a Brahmana may be expert in the 6 Brahminical qualities, yajna, danam pratigraha, patana. One may be expert from the Brahminical platform, but if one is averse to Krishna, one is not a Vaishnav, then such a person is not even qualified to be guru. So these are some considerations. So Advaita Acharya, he very much emphasized this point through the giving of the Shraddha Patra to Haridas Thakur. Now, what's another interesting point about this system? We don't see the Goswamis complaining. We don't see Rupa and Sanatan, they weren't going outside the Jagannath temple with banners saying, "Let us in, you don't know how qualified we are. You think you're Brahmanas, you think we're too impure." No, they weren't doing that. And they were just humbly taking a back seat because the Vaishnava doesn't care. Now, Prabhupada, he fought for the right for his Western disciples to enter the Jagannath temple. But it was not done with that mood. It was just done as a matter of principle. Now, Advaita Acharya, he was asked by Haridas Thakur, because Haridas Thakur was very uncomfortable. He said, by doing this, you're going to attract criticism. And Advaita Acharya said, I don't care, because it's according to scripture. I'm going to just follow the Vaishnav Siddhanta. He didn't care about his reputation. So this is the nature of the Vaishnavas. Haridas Thakur, he's happy to be ostracized. He thinks he's fallen. Or Sanatana Goswami, so he has leprosy. He has pus coming out of his body. So he doesn't want to go near the temple in case one of the pujaris accidentally touches his body and becomes contaminated. This is the nature. So Mahaprabhu, he made arrangements. He said, if you just look at the chakra on the top of the temple, that's as good as darshan. So they were happy not to be allowed in. But Mahaprabhu, he was coming to visit them every day. So who's the victor here, you see? The Brahmanas, who are too much absorbed in the caste mentality, they are trying to practice Krishna consciousness. That is simply religiosity. The actual science is to give to everyone. So this is one of the qualities of the Acharya. So Advaita Acharya exemplifies this by giving the Shraddha Patra to Haridas Thakur. And as I say, I was watching Mula Prakriti's memories. So as I was preparing for this class, so many memories I thought were relevant. Here's a lovely pastime. It's a long pastime. It has many aspects to it. It's a very nice pastime. This is the memory of Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, who's one of the prominent disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And it exemplifies this caste consciousness and how Prabhupada actually taught Puri Maharaj a lesson. So the story is this. After Prabhupada went to the West, he had so many disciples, he actually explains that in the beginning he had to pull each and every disciple out of the gutter. But later on, there was a waterfall of people joining. In the beginning, it was very difficult. So this is his compassion. So he came back to India. And by that time, Pramod Puri Maharaj, he was quite prominent and he had a following. So he came to visit Prabhupada. And at that time, Prabhupada directed one of his disciples to offer prasadam to Puri Maharaj. Now this Western disciple, he didn't have very good cleanliness, so he touched his hand to his mouth before giving prasadam to Puri Maharaj. Pramod Puri Maharaj, being a very Paka Brahmin, he couldn't take this. He declined. And Prabhupada noted this. Now later on, as the Bombay and Vrindavan temples were being built, Puri Maharaj could see how successful Srila Prabhupada was in fundraising. And one king donated a dilapidated temple to Pramod Puri Maharaj. He didn't have funds to renovate it. So he wrote to Prabhupada and asked if Prabhupada could help. So Prabhupada wrote back, and this letter, it's a short letter, but you can actually find this letter on the folio. He wrote back, "You'll be glad to know that I receive about $1 million a month from book sales, but I cannot give you any money because this money has passed through the hands of the Malechas, and you're a Paka Brahmin, therefore you cannot accept this." It's a lovely pastime. Now the pastime continues. And this is very good that Mula Prakriti interviewed Pramod Puri Maharaj because he was on oxygen at the time. This was shortly before he left the planet. He then said to Mula Prakriti, "You're so fortunate to have Srila Prabhupada as your guru. He taught me something very, very, very special." And then he started explaining the last meeting they had. So this was when Prabhupada was too sick to travel. He was in Vrindavan. So Puri Maharaj came and offered respects. And at that time, Prabhupada said, "Please forgive me for any offenses I've committed." Puri Maharaj replied, "No, you did not commit any offenses. If anyone committed offenses, it was us." And then Prabhupada said, "I have a request. Can you give me a gift?" And then Puri Maharaj said, "Anything, Prabhupada, please, whatever you like." Then he said, "I am too sick to go in Parakram, but I very much want to go in Parakram. Can you please sing Jaya Radhi, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan?" Now, there's a bit of background to this. At the time that Bhaktivedanta Saraswati left the planet, Pramod Puri Maharaj was there. I don't know if he was sannyas at that time, but he was a very beautiful singer, and he wanted to sing while his guru was leaving the planet. But Bhaktivedanta Saraswati, he asked, who was it now? Sridhar Swami to sing. So Sridhar Swami sung. He sung Shri Rupa Manjari Pada. And so Puri Maharaj, he was a bit unhappy that he never got the opportunity to sing. So by asking Pramod Puri Maharaj to sing, Prabhupada was indicating this incident. So Pramod Puri Maharaj, he was very happy to sing. So as he was singing, Prabhupada was going into ecstasy, thinking of Vrindavan. Then Prabhupada said, now I want to give you a gift. And Puri Maharaj was like, oh, please Prabhupada, give me whatever you like. Then he called one of his disciples to bring prasadam. So the disciple came to offer prasad to Puri Maharaj. And just at that moment, Prabhupada put his hand under the plate. He goes, please take prasad. I am offering it to you from my own hand. So then Puri Maharaj, he took some halava. And as Mula Prakriti describes, he was in ecstasy, and he started actually rubbing Mula Prakriti's hair. And he said, this is Pramod Puri Maharaj speaking, he said, when I took that halava, I got so much mercy. And I understood that actually anyone, regardless of their material position, can take to Krishna consciousness. So in this way, Prabhupada, he actually defeated the caste consciousness of Pramod Puri Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada ki Advaita Acaryas Appearance Day ki jai. Itai Gaur Premanandi. So if you have service or whatever, you can leave any comments or questions.